government pot in the state of Florida is about $644 million. I don't know what our share of that may be, but it definitely, there is an impact. So that'll be going on the ballot. The other item was, we had $2 million budget request in for the Park of Commerce. It's not in the budget, as I understand it, so. The great state of Florida has once again turned their backs on Lake Worth, which we have it. Well, especially us, we've been doing this for three years, and we've tried to get a hand up to create economic activity. We've even got people in the Park of Commerce who have invested in there, and we're seeing the fruits of good policy and taking the leadership role that y'all have in the Park of Commerce after talking about it for 20 years. And we were able to get some help from the federal government with an EDA grant, but we can't get the legislature in our own state to recognize the value of helping this city.
We've got the MPO to give money towards the project for the Park of Commerce. We've got the FDA, the FDOT grant, federal government grant for that project. 2 times it went before the House and the Senate. Both the House and the Senate passed it, and it was vetoed twice by the governor. This time around, it made it through the Senate and didn't make it through the House. So
Senator Jack Laddow.
So if you want, if I seem a little testy today, I'll tell you, first of all, the homestead exemption now is going to make many of our homes not available to contribute on a tax base. So not only do you kill us with that one, but you also give the one place that doesn't disturb any homeowners or any other types of business, the one place we have to generate jobs for the people who need them in our community, who's the hardest hit. So you take away our tax base and you take away our ability to create jobs. I'm not happy today. It's not a good day for Lake Worth.
And what's disturbing is you hear that some of the things that have been funded this year, of course the things we knew got funded last year. I think last year Palm Beach Gardens got a $3 million gun range.
Didn't Lost Tree Village get something?
Lost Tree, and maybe Vice Mayor Maxwell knows more about the details on that, I believe. But I think it was $1 million.
May I? What I'm hearing from several of my sources is that Lost Tree Village was given, they had a $1 million appropriation for sewage upgrades or sewer upgrades. And then I found out some additional information that I'm still trying to confirm, and that is not only did they get $1 million, but there was no, there was no documentation to support the appropriation. In other words, there was no engineering studies conducted, there was no planning involved, there was no, it's not like they had a plan ready to go, a shovel-ready type of project. And I'm checking into that to see if that's in fact true. Basically what I was told was in the back of the napkin, they need $1 million.
And they got
$1 million.
And we can't have $2 million to create jobs that'll help our citizens in our community that we've been trying to get for 3 years. Right? Please contact your state representative.
Is there some way we could, I'm sorry, can we craft a letter to, an open letter to, a letter to the governor, an open letter to the Senate and to the House, and just kind of, lay it out? Well, what effectively they have not done for us in the last 2 years, and what they're effectively going to do to us in the next 2 years, and then speak to them about leadership and, good governance.
So what should we do? Should we create a toll? Everyone comes over the bridge is gonna have to pay a toll. That's how we'll make up the money for Dixie Highway. Stick some tolls over there. Anyone who wants to come in. Now, we don't have to because we're in the community. We have to come up with some kind of way. I joke.
I don't want anybody listening to think our dismay about some of these issues about taking away extra, adding more homestead exemption or not being able to get this money to help from the state is anything about just that money. We're genuinely pursuing things that have a return on investment. This part of the county, and I'll speak for the region, as y'all well know, but specifically Lake Worth and the areas west, have tremendous potential to pull themselves up by the bootstraps, not just in property valuation, but in quality of life. The things that you're doing here is affecting people's lives in a positive way. It's raising that. And you're trying to do things to give people jobs, and opportunity and all the things that are good.
Better funding,
And, you know, if you're extremely wealthy, like on the north end of this county, you get hundreds of millions of dollars thrown at you for biomed or whatever it is. Or if you're abject poor, which happens to be people who are actually worse off than us, and the Glades community, we're just ahead of Belgrade, but behind Riviera Beach in the statistics, they get money because they're abject poverty. And here we are trying to do the right thing, and nobody seems to want to help. It's the damnedest thing I've ever seen.
it's very frustrating when you're constantly fighting for it, and it's just very frustrating. You know, I mentioned this, I'm gonna go into detail with the presentation on 7 square miles. You know, when you're West Palm Beach and your tax base goes all the way out to Ibis and Delray Beach, you know, 441, Boynton Beach, Hagen Ranch Road, when you're collecting tax from a tax base like that, we go to Boutwell. We're 7 square miles. So every decision that we make on anything being invested in our community or economic development, we have to remember that we're 7 square miles. Everything that we have to do, so when someone moves to our community from Delray Beach or West Palm Beach or Palm Beach Gardens, guess what? They want those same resources and amenities that they get in those other communities. But those communities have a tax base of 60, 70, 55 square miles. And we are expected to provide it with a tax base of 7 square miles with the rental statistics and the poverty statistics that we have. But everybody wants those things when they come here from those other communities, and we're luring people to come here because we're such a cool city. So what do? Again, it's not the end of the world. We've had a lot of great turnarounds when it comes to our property values and the things that have happened over the next, but it means that we're gonna have to be even tighter with those 7 square miles and more creative with those 7 square miles. And you know what? Whatever they wanna do, they wanna poo-poo, they wanna veto, they wanna not pass it through, we'll prove them wrong anyway, and we will succeed because we're Lake Worth. But in the meantime, remember, we're gonna be creative, and we're gonna need your help when we make these decisions, and we're gonna need you on our side to make some tough decisions to figure out how within our 7 square miles, we are going to succeed, because we are, despite what they do. Commissioner Hardy.
Yeah, 2 questions for the city manager. It's clear, you know, this legislative session was pretty much an attack on the economy and freedom of cities and, you know, the ability of us to maneuver and do what we need to do. And that's really unfortunate, and it's especially unfortunate being as it's coming from the same conservatives who decry the federal government's assertion of its supremacy over the states. Here you have them doing the same thing to local governments and essentially denying us the ability to make our decisions for ourselves. And that's really, really unfortunate that we are now the victims of ideologues. Hypocritical ideologues. So, you know, my 2 questions are, first of all, what is the statutory limit on millage rates? And where are we in relation to that statutory limit? And then, you know, my other question is, can we study the impact of this on our budget so that we can get ahead of this and start communicating to our people? Because there's a vote that has to be taken by the people here in the state of Florida. It requires 60% passage. And I think we need to make it clear to them just what the impact will be for our city and what we will have to do as a result of this going through.
I've actually already
So-
asked the city manager.
Right, what's the,
So
Provide
our cap that we have for property taxes that we can go up to is 10 mils. And that, for us, includes municipal services, including fire rescue. So our fire rescue, which is the county, their millage rate gets added to ours. So we've been maintaining, since I've been here, a millage rate of 8.99 mils, okay? You don't wanna go over 9. And those are millage rates that you see out in the Glades, in places that don't have valuation. And part of the turnaround process in the city has been trying to figure out how to add value to properties. And that's why we're so disappointed with the Park of Commerce, because the taxes generated by commercial and industrial properties subsidizes the low valuations in the residential component. So, yes, that's not a good number, but that's our limit. The second question,
can we study the impact of
Yes.
this on our budget and present it to the public as
And
soon
as
as possible?
the mayor's had a conversation with me about this. We're trying to, as we go through the budget process, have a real understanding of what the impact might be for that purpose. So I'm assuming, and I shouldn't assume, if this is something that would potentially going into effect in 19, that it would be on the ballot November 18, I think, but I'm gonna be sure about when it,
I
because
think
we,
it is 18.
and you may have heard too, there was discussion about this, about trying to somehow offset some of this by adding a sales tax, you know, there's things popping out of the woodwork all over the place about this, you know, this one bad policy potentially is gonna have all kinds of impacts unforeseen. But the most immediate one is on our budget.
And it seems to me that all these impacts, you know, sales tax, any other, you know, fees and things like that, those are regressive. Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you very much. I appreciate all your help tonight, and thank you to everyone in the audience too, and for being a part of it. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Second.